Now, I would tell you a joke about a tall wall, but you'll never get over it. Welcome back to Modstorm. We have learned so much up to this point. Let's give ourselves a quick recap on what we've learned so far. At this point, you should be able to design your own terrain, crop it, design it, make it look how you want it, and then also drag and drop your items and your objects into your terrain. At this point, you've also mindled a little bit with some actions. We've made some actions to make the player spawn what we wanted to spawn. We understand that these actions are completely independent and all your interactive parts must have a tag. We've made some platforms here that when we touch them, they make these other platforms move. So we've mingled a little bit into some animation as well, which is pretty cool. And now, in this video, you've seen here that I've made a little bit more extension onto our little parkour, our little maze game here. But once you've crossed the water, we have these little channels that you can go through. Each player can pick either one they want. But the yellow platform right here, when you touch it, the wall, which are divided into different pieces, each wall will go down when you touch that yellow marker. Once the player gets off the marker, the wall will go back up. And so the deal here is to use these little crates that are placed in the game, shove them back to the yellow marker here, and let the crates be the weight that triggers the wall to go down and stays down as the player is able to pass through. So that is the plan for today. We're going to look at how to accomplish that, and by doing that, we're going to learn how to make the triggers trigger while you're on it and then turn off when you get off of it. So stuff like that we're going to look at as well. Now let's pay close attention to what I have a text message. Let's pay close attention to what I've done so far. Right here on these platforms, remember, tags are important. So I've started by giving them a tag. This one I call this L1, L2, L3, and so forth. Now the walls also have tags as well. This wall is tagged W1, W2, W3, and so forth and so forth. Alright, so it's time to make some actions. Now that we've set our tags, we've tagged the wall with W, W1, W2, and 3. We've tagged the little platforms here with L, L1, L2, and 3 and 4. And then we haven't tagged the boxes. We can go ahead and do that live so you can see how that's done. I'll just go ahead and click on the box and I'll call this one B1 because this is like box 1, and I'll call this B2. Now, I don't want to waste your time, so I'm gonna tag the other ones later when you're not watching. Now, to create our logic, we just got to go up here to the resource tab and click on the plus button. All your logics will be placed in this little drop down area here. Let's go ahead and click the plus button to create our new logic or a new action. Let's go ahead and create action, which basically is the logic, right? First thing I like to do is give it a proper name. I'm going to start with the 1 zone because everything here is like L1 or B1 or W1. I'm going to start with the 1 zone. So that's actually a pretty good name for my logic. I'll just call it 1 zone, like so. Now we have the trigger and the action. Please understand these. They're really, really simple to understand. All right, so let's understand how the trigger and the action work. The action that we want to happen is for the wall to go down. What's triggering that is when the player touches this platform. Ultimately, though, we want the box to be able to be pushed over here and triggered it as well. So we do need 2 triggers. We want one where the player does it and when the box does it. So both should count. Let's go ahead and look at our action, our little logic that has the trigger in action. So we're going to create these two triggers and go ahead and say avatar collide, because that's when the player touched something. And then we'll hit the plus sign again and create another one, which is going to be object collide, because that's when an object touch something, right? So let's see, avatar collide, and then we want to know what are they colliding with as the tag right here, the actor tag collider actor tag. This is the L1 when it collides with L1, when the player collides with L1. And then for the object tag, we need both, right? The movable object, which is the box, and that is actually tagged with B1, and when it collides with L1, if that makes sense to you. So when this box collides with this thing, we have all these both triggers here, okay? Both triggers can trigger this thing to do its thing. Now for the action will simply make the wall do an animation down and then have it play backwards, which just brings it back up. Now I haven't created the animation yet, so let me go ahead and do that right now. Now you see here, I can go down to animate, and I don't need it to really ping pong or even loop. I'll just tell it to hold at the end, so it plays down and then it just stays there, right? Now the key, right, which is the move key, so like where it's gonna move to, how many seconds it's gonna delay, such and such, ease out and in and out, which we don't really have to do, but now what we want is for this to go down, which is the Y. And let's see where it's at when it moves down using the current positions right here. So what I'll do is I'll just move it down myself, like about so. And we can see that this current position right here is about, let's just say it is, let's remove it and we'll put 8. 8 is pretty good. What about when it's back up? We don't have to worry too much about when it's back up. Looks like when it's back up, it goes to about 30. So we're going to tell this thing to animate to 8. We'll put 8 right there, and it's set to play. So now we'll be able to test and see it happen. Just see how far it goes down. Uh-oh. It's going up. That's going to be a tall wall. Now this wall is pretty tall compared to the player. You know, I would tell you a joke about a tall wall, but you'll never get over it. That also works because now we can go under it if we want to do that. And that I actually kind of like that better, just being able to go under it versus it going all the way down. Because you have to wait till it goes so far down before you can pass. So I think going up is actually not a bad idea. Why am I bald? Alright, so now that the animation is set on this thing, I guess we're just going to have it go up. And let's have it just go up to about 10 instead. What I should have done there is put like a minus sign if I really wanted it to go down. But I'm okay with it going up. So I'm going to uncheck the play so it doesn't play on its own. And then in the zone here, in the one zone action, I'm going to tell it now for the action to be, right, movable right here, which means it's going to do something with something that can move, which in this case, the wall. So the tag for the wall is W1, wall 1, just like that. And then we can tell it to play forward. There's also play reverse, which will then do the opposite, right? So now we had it set up to where when we touch this, the wall should go up. Let's see if it works. As you can see, the wall isn't moving. Let me navigate my way over there. Alright, so here I am about to step on this platform, and let's see if the wall goes up. I noticed that it didn't work with both of the triggers, but it worked when I removed one. Now, I'm not sure if that's a bug, but that's interesting to see. So we're gonna have to find out another way. So now that we have the idea of what the trigger and the action needs to do, let's demonstrate what the ultimate result should look like. We should be able to step onto the platform and see the wall go up. And then when we step off, it goes back down. Up, down. So once we step off, we shouldn't have enough time to go back on there. So we might have to increase the animation speed. Next, we're making it so that if we put the crate onto the platform, so the same thing happens. And if we take the crate off, same thing happens there. So one of the problem here that we could have is that the player coming off of the platform also triggers it down, even though the crate is still there. So to avoid this for now, we just got to make sure we just push the crate onto it without the player going onto it, and that should be our way out. Let's look at how I accomplished this with the code. So this area here is zone 1. So what I've done is made this individual piece of action that says when the player avatar is colliding with L1, L1 being this, then the action is going to be for W1, which is the wall, to play forward. Then we need another one that says, okay, well, when the player is closed, all right, so when the player now is exit the collision, which is L1, again, when he's exited, when he gets off of it, we play that same animation on W1, which is the wall, but play reverse, so it goes back down. This is not the best way to do it. We've also created 2 more for opening with the crate and without the crate, which simply says, with the crate, it says when a movable object, B1, which is the box 1, is touching L1, which is this, do the same thing, play the wall animation. Then when this should say object exit, B1, do the same thing again. So in a sense, this is working, but not entirely how we want it to work. I challenge you to pause this video and see if you can make it work properly, where if the box is on and you step off, it doesn't go back down. All right, what we might need for this is a variable. So I gave you a hint. Pause the video and try to see if you can accomplish this. All right, wow, we are doing a lot of coding in this one, a lot of logics and actions in this one. But if you were able to pause the video and do it, that is beyond awesome, because we've never mentioned or touched on this topic before. But it is variables. I'm about to show you how we would accomplish this without having the issue we're having right now. So first thing we'll need is a variable. You can go to the plus button up here and choose create variable. I'm going to give this variable a name. I'm going to call this variable wall1. We're going to need the variable for every wall. So at this point, you feel free to go ahead and create wall 2, 3, 4, all the way to 5, as many walls as you may have, or whatever project, how your project is set up, whatever it is that you need that variable for. Now that I have my wall 1, I told it that it needs to be a number, and the value starts at 0. So each time the player steps on it, I want to simply increase this wall number by 1. If the crate goes on it, increase that number by 1. And so basically, as long as the number is more than 0, it means that there is an object on this thing. For every time an object leaves this platform, I'll be decreasing the number back by 1. So I increase it by 1 when you step on it, decrease it by 1 when you leave. So when 2 things are on it, the number is at 2, and if 1 steps off, the number goes back to 1. Therefore, as long as it's not 0, that means that there is something on this object, and therefore the door, the wall, should go up. So let's go ahead and see how that's going to work. So I've created the wall1 variable, and now on my player open, which simply detects when the player collides with it, we play the animation to make it play forward, which brings the thing up. We're going to change that, and we'll go down to the bottom here to find the one that says variable change. The variable we're going to select is the wall1. The operator is going to be to add. So we're going to create the operator here to add, and then 1. So we're going to add 1 when the player touches it. Now when the player leaves, which here avatar exit, the L1 platform. We're not gonna make it animate in reverse. We're gonna go ahead and find that variable again and tell it variable, but this time subtract the value will be 1. All right, so we're gonna do that for the create open and the create close as well, same exact code. All right, so now we have these 4 logics set up perfectly, whereas the player touched the thing, the variable increase, the player leaves the thing, the variable decrease. Same with the box. So whenever there's 2 or 1 or how many objects are on that, there's always a value that's higher than 0. Now we need to create our final logic, my friends. Our final logic here is going to be one more action, and the action will be open or close wall. So I'm gonna say open, and I'll say or close. Open or close. Let me just call this wall 1. Now we will need to duplicate all of this for the rest of the platforms and wall, but that should be easy for you to do. I believe in you. I 100% believe in you. So what this is going to do is check now the values. So the trigger will be a variable, if variable. All right, so we're going to say if variable, and wall 1, it says equal to. So we're going to change that to greater than. If it is greater than, and the value will be 0. If it is greater than 0, then we're going to do the action to movable and wall 1 and make it play forward. All right, so let's have a good look at what we've written here. If the variable wall 1 is greater than 0, then we're going to play this thing forward, make it open. Now, the name for this actually should be open wall, not open or close, but open wall. This will open the wall. And then what I'll simply do with this is right click to duplicate, right? And this will just simply close it. So I'll just, instead of having clone, I'll change that word to close. And this will simply say if the value of wall 1 is equal to, and then 0. At this point, all the things have passed off of it, and so it's now time to play this thing in reverse. I think we're all set. It took us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It took us 6 commands, but like pretend that's about 6 lines of code to make this happen. That seems pretty reasonable to me. When you're making your game, you will have a lot of these things. That's just how it's gonna be. So let's hit play and see how this works. Now I have my guy spawning right here for testing purposes. Let's see. Showtime. I'm about to step on it. It goes up, and if I step off, it goes back down because the value of that variable is being decreased. Now let's try this with the box as well. Alright, so I've brought the box over, and the box is just barely on it. You can see it start going up, and I'll show you. If I'm on it and I get off, it doesn't go back down. If I push the box off and I'm still on it, it doesn't go back down. As soon as I jump, you can see it starts going back down. So if I just step off, it goes back down. If I'm on, it goes up. And if the box is on and I get off, little bug there. Now let's push the box on. Yeah, see as the box goes on, whether I get on and off, it doesn't go down. So what happened there was, looks like just a little bit of a bug. Yep, there it is again, a little bit of a bug, but the box should be counted as 1. So there we go. So the bug could be something mathematical. So the best way and the best logical way to fix this is to make your logic more robust. So in a sense, just covers more possibilities. So in this case, I'm checking to see if the value of wall 1, which is our variable, is more than 0. Keep in mind, every time an object goes on it, the player or the crate, it increases by 1. But what if it decreases and decreases a little bit too much? Then the 1 here that makes it close is saying that if it's equal to 0, well, it could go below 0 if you decrease 1 from something that's already 0. So just in case, we want to just simply do a less than instead and just check to see if it's less than 1. So anything that's less than 1 is 0 or below, and anything that's more than 0 is 1 or more. So this kind of covers more of a broader scale of possibilities of like things not working exactly. And this was actually the fix to that little bug. If you're still having a bug though, there's probably just some updates that will be coming out to fix those. Or you might need some bug spray, eh? Why is everybody leaving? Well, we are here at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Today we learned just how important variables are, and we got a little introduction into them. Because at some point, hey, we're gonna have to use them in many languages out there. Variables are a key feature, just like it is here in Modstorm. So we did a lot of logics here with a lot of triggers and actions, and hopefully you were able to follow along. All we have to do now is basically duplicate these and move them on to some other tags to make the rest of this game work. I thank you so much again for watching, and you have a wonderful day.